That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us. Like if you and I got on an airplane, a 727. What are the chances we could get it airborne?
Yeah.
And then once we got it airborne, what are the chances you could land it?
Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we are just trying to have a conversation without using Google or fact-checking things online. Those things easily kill the conversation.
Well, this ain't going to kill the conversation.
What's not going to kill the conversation?
So I saw part of an article again.
Oh, one of the first two lines?
Maybe first two lines, maybe.
First paragraph, right?
And as you know, when I've been struggling to remember this, because usually if I have an idea for the podcast, I write it down immediately.
We've got this really nice notebook here. What's the design on the outside of this notebook?
The design on the outside of the notebook?
Yeah.
I think this would be
some kind of geometric pattern.
Pattern.
All right.
This is a gift from Olivia.
Okay, well, it's very nice. She gave us a gift 2 weeks ago with the idea of
shoelaces. Great topic. Yeah, she did. That one actually was good. I ended up getting a pair of shoes out of that. Some step-ins.
Really?
Not given to me. I'm just saying I might go out and go ahead and make
I was going to say, your daughter's going to relent?
No, absolutely not.
They're not going to know.
Well, not unless they listen to this, so there's a good chance, right? They will not know.
They'll have no idea.
They listen sometimes. All right, so this caught my eye, but I just didn't have time to read it.
in usual fashion.
So we have less than our normal lack of information. But, we talked about stealing a train, which seems unusual because we're both elders in our church that we would even contemplate stealing a train. But
it was an unusual situation.
Right.
We're sitting, for those of you who haven't listened to us for a while, recently new listeners, there's episode 28, 310 to Greensboro. So, this is going back. Episode 28.
Yeah, because I think we're banging against 200 right now.
No, we're at about 140.
140?
We're at 140, yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
I was thinking we're closer to 200.
No. Remember, we got to do this 3 years to get to 150.
Oh, that's true.
All right. So, okay. So, anyway, yeah, in fact, for me, that was one of the turning points of the podcast.
Really?
When we were sitting there eating, eating lunch.
Yep.
And our place where we eat lunch is adjacent to a train track. And what we found out...
Very adjacent.
found out is actually a spur.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there eating lunch, and the train pulls up, a locomotive. And the diesel locomotive is probably only carrying 2 trailers. That's it. And it stops. And it's sitting there idling. And I didn't think of anything. We're eating our lunch. Mm. And the engineer gets down, and he walks through the brush between the tracks and the property where the restaurant is, kind of, shuffles through there, kind of pushes away the briars, then walks out, and then he goes inside, and he sits down and eats lunch. He sits down and eats lunch.
Yeah.
There's a running train out back.
And
now, what do you do? It's like, what's the number one rule when you leave your car? A, you don't leave the keys in it.
Right.
And B, you don't leave the keys in it with it running.
Right.
Well, he did both of these things.
And so
the conversation went something like, Cecil, do you think we could take that train? Do you think we'd take that train for a test drive?
And how far could we get? And then the 2 guys in Florida did that.
Then there were some guys, 2 Florida men,
actually
did steal a train. And no one knows how they did it.
Yep.
Because it was padlocked.
Yep.
They drove several miles through intersections.
10 miles.
And they came back.
They brought it back.
Now, it appears they left the parking brake on because there did several $100s worth of damage to the train.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they left the parking brake on, destroyed the brake shoes.
They didn't know everything. They knew enough to get it moving and to get it back.
Now, someone else had told me that if you do steal a train, there is like a fuel cutoff switch you have to watch out for.
Really?
Yeah. And somehow, if you don't watch out for that, it'll cut the fuel of the engine and kill the engine. But these two, I think this is an inside job.
Yeah.
These two guys able to do it.
So we've thought about stealing a train, which we shouldn't steal anything. We would not steal anything else, but for some reason the train was just too good to think
Well, the thing is, we're going to return it.
Yeah, we would have borrowed it.
I mean, is it stealing if you're driving it to somewhere and back, and it's only in a straight? See, stealing to me is you're really taking it out and doing something with it, but this is just in a straight line. Is it stealing?
It's more of
stealing.
It's more of an experiment.
It is.
Right.
It's to see if we could do it.
See if you could do it. Right.
And the risk level seemed low.
It did.
But I had such a fun time thinking about that and recording that podcast. I thought to myself, this is what this podcast is going to be about.
We've nailed it.
This is what it's all going to be about. So go back, listen to episode 28, 310 to GSO, and you're going to, we might even sound younger, Cecil.
That's right. And if you're confused by the title, 310 to GSO, that's the take off of the famous Western movie, 310 to Yuma. Two guys in Florida steal a train. We're like, oh, that's pretty interesting. We should get some royalties for...
It was our idea.
It was our idea. But, so I see this thing, it catches my eye, that I think it was 2003, two guys get on a 727.
Okay.
727.
It's an older wide body
jetliner.
Jet. Probably has
passenger jet.
Now realize I used to work in the airplane seat industry. So
did you really?
I did. Yeah. So that's probably a 3-3 aisle configuration. There's three on each side.
So 727, fairly large jet.
Right.
It requires a crew to get it airborne.
Usually that's two people.
Yeah, so you need to have a pilot and a co-pilot at least.
Yeah, sometimes you would have a navigator, but I don't know if you do on this one.
And then, of course, if you have passengers, you would have flight crew. So two guys, this is happening, I think, in Angola. So the 727 is in Angola, and it's being worked on. And two guys, neither of which are pilots, get on the plane.
Okay.
And they're working on it. And then,
they're workers. They're
workers.
They're repair.
Yeah, they know who they are.
They're part of the crew.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they're part of the ground crew that's working on the plane.
What year is this again?
2003.
2003. Okay.
So suddenly, the plane begins to taxi. Then the plane takes off and has never been seen again.
No way.
And so the FBI evidently has opened a case on this. But
they've reopened the case?
But no, there was a case at the time.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if it's been reopened. That's all. I've now exhausted everything I know, except it takes us back to the 310 to Greensboro thing. Is like, and our other episode about whether you could land a plane.
Yeah, that's the other episode.
It actually ties in two episodes. If you're sitting there and you're on a plane, like if you and I got on an airplane, a 727. What are the chances we could get it airborne?
Yeah.
And then once we got it airborne, what are the chances you could land it again somewhere? So this plane is they've never found it. Something
tells me that these guys figured out how to take off.
They did take off.
They did not how to figure out how to land.
But they don't know where, if they crashed it, they don't know where they crashed it.
Now, that's true. That's right. You would have thought if they're landing at an airstrip on purpose, someone would have seen this thing.
Or, they'd been picked up on radar or something.
True, radar. Well, it's Angola.
Yeah, I don't know what the radar situation is.
I don't know what the air traffic control.
Oh,
I doubt if they had to ask clearance for takeoff.
One other detail.
Yeah,
they cut the transponders off.
So these guys kind of knew what they were doing.
So but supposedly neither one of them were pilots.
Yeah, well.
Or if they were pilots, they were secret pilots.
But you know what? 2003. I mean, that is right around the heyday of Flight Simulator.
Oh, so now you're back to thinking that you could take a plane off.
Oh yeah, just by playing Flight Simulator.
You think you could?
Oh yeah.
You think you could take? Now, see, this is where I would break and say I don't think I could get a plane off the ground.
I think that's the easy part.
You think that's the easy part?
This guy probably have access to some of the manuals, some of the procedural manuals on how to start it.
Right.
They probably spent some time studying the manual.
Well,
if they're part of the repair crew, they're around the controls all the time.
Yeah.
They probably spent their lunch in the pilot and the co-pilot seat playing airplane and figuring it out until finally the day came. It's got fuel.
It's filled up.
Let's go.
The repairs have been made. They're getting ready to take it back to wherever it's supposed to be. This is our moment.
Turn off the transponder.
Turn off the transponders. Let's get this thing in the air.
I'm telling you.
So you think you can get it in the air?
Yeah.
Yeah. The cockpits I've seen, I would not even know what switch to flip for. I think.
Okay, I take that back. You give me some time with the procedure manual, I could do it. And I think that's what they had. Yeah. They had the procedure manual. They know how to do it.
They were repair. Yeah, they probably knew that kind of stuff. I feel like I could do the yoke, like get the nose of the plane up, but you have to get the speed up. First of all, you got to turn it on.
Well, that's the thing. All the procedures for turning it on.
Right.
How to test the flaps, how to set the flaps.
Yep.
All of that stuff is there.
Yeah.
They know the button to bring up the landing gear.
So the 727.
What they don't know is the procedure for the right glide path speed. And what they probably don't know what the stall speed is, but I still think they could probably figure that with their flight simulator. So with enough flight simulator time on Microsoft Flight Simulator on a Commodore 64, I think they could figure it out.
So on a 727 in 2003, we're not talking about a lot of technology, probably.
No,
it'd be a pretty basic plane. So it's not like you could make it take itself off.
It wouldn't have autopilot. It would have autopilot, but it would not have auto land like today's planes.
It wouldn't be it wouldn't be as sophisticated as what you.
I don't think it would be. No.
Well, so there you go. That's what I've got for tonight, man. Is the disappearance of the 727. What is that? 727.
727.
Yeah, about two guys that should not have known how to fly an airplane.
So has any other cases like that occurred?
Of civilians stealing aircraft?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think they could have done. I don't think they could have done that in the United States.
In the United States, I think the radar would have been too good.
Yeah, or even ground control. And any big enough airport that has a 727, someone's watching it. Someone's watching every plane on the ground.
Right.
Something as big as the 727. But a lot of these older planes get reused. I want to say that Trump's plane, Donald Trump's plane's a 727.
Is it?
I think it is.
That's a big plane.
Yeah, he's got a big plane.
In America, I think you would have you'd probably been in a crowded airport with the 727. There had been a lot of ground crew. Somebody could have blocked you, I think. If you were trying to taxi and you hadn't gotten clearance, I think somebody would have blocked you.
Well, even so, hey, look, there's a plane. Call the Air Force. Go follow it. Think about the Winston-Salem Airport, right?
Right.
We can have jetliners land and take off there.
Yeah.
But it's a small regional airport.
Right.
You're not stealing a plane from Z. Smith Reynolds Airport.
You don't think so?
No, you're not stealing not a 727.
That would be our best bet. That would be that would be our bet.
Maybe we need to go have lunch over there.
They have a really good restaurant.
If they left.
Do you know that?
What the?
They have a really good restaurant that people are going to.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. Where is the restaurant?
In the airport.
It's in the airport?
Yeah.
It's good?
Yeah.
Like how good?
People are making a.
People go to McDonald's. How good is it?
No, it's good. People are making a special trip out to Z Smith to get a.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should go there, and if we get lucky, maybe they'll have a 727 on the runway running for us and check it out.
This is where we're going to be put on a no-fly list now.
Well, here's the thing: it's a lot different than a train, right? Train, it's an out and back.
Out and back. Well, again, this is testing my knowledge of geography, and I don't have a map in front of me. How close is Angola to the coast? Is it in the middle of the continent of Africa, or is it a coastal?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't either. Because the other thing is, if they got it out over water, the transponders off, then they're at the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
Yeah, or they misread the fuel tank.
Or the other thing is, let's say they do successfully steal it.
Uh-huh.
Let's say they took off, or they obviously took off. But let's say they landed it somewhere.
Yeah.
Now what do you do? Because you can't get airborne with it again.
Right.
Like you can't land it at any real airport. right?
And you probably can't take off. You've probably crash landed this airplane.
There's a possibility you crash landed.
Or you've slid it off the runway. You know, you ran out of runway and just went into the...
But even if you landed it somewhere, what do you do? Because you can't use it. Like it's not like you can paint it and start flying it back into airports.
Oh, right,
They'll identify it.
Exactly. It's not like you can start using it to, fly around the world.
Right.
Now, it's not your personal Learjet.
Yeah. So what do? Now you just have an airplane out in the middle of nowhere.
So Angola is on the southern part of Africa. It's on the west coast. It is a coastal town.
Coastal country. So there is a chance they turn this thing out to sea.
Yeah.
And they are at the bottom of the ocean.
There's probably a good chance that happened.
Or they landed it and they started a podcast.
Well, hopefully they'll contact us. Now, they could have flown it across and gone to South America.
Yeah, but
I mean, really, they could have landed. I mean, if this was a planned thing, they're probably stealing it for someone wealthy. Again, like you said, even if they're stealing it for someone wealthy,
right,
and they deliver it to the wealthy person,
right,
how are they going to retrofit the plane in such a way that it's not traceable? I mean, pieces of the plane actually have serial numbers on it.
Right.
It's not like you're going to go scratch off the serial number of every part.
Yeah.
So if people are looking for this plane, they're going to find it if someone's flying it around.
I don't think so. It's not like a car where you just change the plates.
I mean, I don't know what the airplane situation is in, say, South America or Africa, if people really keep track of, there's a 727, who owns that?
But they've never shown back up anywhere.
Yeah. Well, would you show your face again? I mean, I don't think I even showed my face if I stole a train.
No, you couldn't. You'd have to remain anonymous. But what? It's just, what would you do? I don't understand the purpose of stealing the plane when everybody knows who you are. I mean, you wouldn't get enough money to retire. I mean, you could a couple million maybe.
Yeah. Change your identity and just disappear.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem like enough money for the risk that's involved.
Could have been like a big treasure hunt, like a scavenger hunt type deal.
It could have been.
Like some wealthy people playing a scavenger hunt and saying, I bet you I can get a 727.
Maybe so.
I bet you I can get a high stakes game of scavenger hunt.
Maybe. If anybody sees a spare 727 out there.
Well, you said this was 2003?
2003.
So we're 21 years removed?
21 years ago.
It's probably gone.
Have
you ever seen those pictures on the internet sometimes? It's probably clickbait, but they'll say, this plane was found in the middle of the desert and no one knows how it got there.
Yeah.
Or they found this submarine, this World War II submarine, and no one knows how it got there. You ever seen those?
Yeah, my favorite one is the plane that took off in Argentina or somewhere in 1989 and landed in 1992 in New York.
No.
I mean, it's just clickbait. It didn't actually happen, but but that's the one that always cracks me up. It could be. It could be one of those planes that you're talking about, clickbait planes.
Well, could this have been a clickbait story? I guess this was Was this a legitimate story?
The Smithsonian.
This was the Smithsonian. You didn't even read the whole thing. When was it published? April 1st, 2022?
This was the Smithsonian magazine that had it. So I feel like it was pretty legit.
Well, I think we can lean into that a little.
Yeah. I feel like it was legit. Now I've got to go back after the podcast and look at the whole article.
Get the rest of the whole story.
Yeah. All the non-details are just for the podcast.
Right. We'd like to fill in the non-details.
Yeah. But it's, I was wondering just what the purpose of that was. Or maybe these are two guys that had just been like, you know what? I'm tired of my life. Let's fly a plane. And maybe they're living happily in Brazil.
Right.
Planes parked out back.
Right.
They got it covered with some netting.
That's right.
Can't see it from there.
Someone would have seen it by now.
Well, I think this, of course, now if it's like my car, everybody would say, well, they just cut it up for parts, because
the Ranchero.
No, when my Honda got stolen.
Oh, right.
I can't tell how many people said, it got cut up for parts.
Especially the Honda.
Yeah, and I was just like, nobody's cut a 2004 Honda up for parts. That was my contention.
Yeah.
And again, I can't imagine the market for 727 parts is big.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either.
But there you go. That's all I got, man. That was my partial story that I saw this week. Caught my eye. It actually tied in nicely with the train and my car being stolen and
our ability to fly a plane.
And our ability to fly a plane.
We can do it, man.
I am very interested in the fact that you think landing the plane is one thing, but you think you can take a 727
again.
Get it up.
Again, if I had that exposure like those guys did, they've got the procedure manual. They can sit in the cockpit. They've probably been working on this plane for 6 months. They're probably running scenarios through their head. They're probably having a good time. I think it'd be done.
I'll give you that.
Landing, it might be a different story for them, but not for me.
I wonder if somebody would let us try.
Oh, really? Yeah, just see if we could figure out.
Yeah. They give us the manual, give us a plane. We won't fly. We won't actually take off.
Right.
But can we tell them the sequence?
Or not, put us in the simulator.
That's right.
Just give us the manual and the simulator, and we'll see if we can take it off in the sim.
Yeah.
Well, no harm, no foul.
And then land it.
Right. So I feel like if we were really famous and had a really famous podcast, those well known, millions of listeners, maybe hundreds of thousands of listeners, I don't go to millions. I feel like we would talk about something like this, and then a listener would give us would take us up on this. They would invite us to their flight simulator, they'd give us the manual, and they'd let us try this. Yeah. I feel like if we ever made it big, we need to replay some of these episodes.
We're doing a lot of stuff if we get famous, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, what are we doing? We're flying 727s.
Right.
We're definitely landing a T-38.
Yeah, and we got to try the train thing.
We're going to see if we can give me a procedure. Let me try to steal the train.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Just let me try to steal it.
That's not what we're asking for.
Yeah, well, I don't
just asking for an opportunity to steal the plane.
I mean, I'm not going to be Florida man and drive it for 10 miles. I'm just going to see if I can get moving.
Yeah.
See if I figured it out.
We're not really listening.
I like the challenge.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. If we got a train moving, that would be super cool. Or got a plane in the air.
That'd be a rush.
Yeah. Unbelievably. As unbelievable as the plane being stolen by two guys. You've come to the end of another That Don't Sound Right.
Hey, before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. If this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? If you're a long-time listener, please give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily find us and join the conversation. If you have a 727 flight simulator and would to challenge us to see if we can take it off, you know where to find us, tdsrpodcast@gmail.com.
Or if you stole a 727... and we're just like, you can return it, no questions asked. We just want to know.
Hey, you can tell us, and I think is there a statute of limitations on stealing an airplane?
I don't know. I mean, what would you be charged with? Grand theft
arrow?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a big theft.
We were worried about grand theft loco.
Yeah, I don't know what you would be charged with. Before we go, let me mention Wonderfully Made Designs is a small business specializing in custom-made T-shirts. Contact Casey on Facebook at Wonderfully Made Designs 139.14. Use code TDSR10 for 10% off your first order.
Hey, I'll remind everyone the numbers count when you're trying to contact Casey.
All right, remember, That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Campbell City Studios. I'm your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter is your other host, and your web designer, Camille, is our barista. Emily does our graphic design. Ella does our Instagram. Giorgio tests our merchandise. Brent is our international brand ambassador. And as always, listener number one is Scott. So until next week, keep talking.
Stay curious.